is red, white, and bluegrass.
The transition to the Trump administration is well underway as the president-elect selects his nominees for high-level cabinet positions. Some picks have been well received by broader Republicans. Others have caused a stir. On Thursday, we learned former Florida Representative Matt Gaetz withdrew his name from the Attorney General nomination. It drew a lot of heat thanks to accusations of sexual misconduct and a growing back and forth over releasing a report from the Ethics Committee. This week, Trump also tapped WWE executive Linda McMahon for Education Secretary, TV personality Dr. Mehmet Oz to run Medicaid and Medicare, and former Congressman and Fox Business host Sean Duffy for Transportation Secretary. So I'll let you go ahead and start here, Senator Bledsoe. Is there any particular picks that you're happy with, any that concern you as a Republican? What are your thoughts?
Very excited about his chief of staff, the first female to ever hold that role. I think is pretty exciting. I think Marco Rubio is a fantastic choice for Secretary of State. Mike Huckabee doing work in Israel is going to be fantastic. I've met Elise Stefanich several times. I think she's going to be pretty good at the UN. So there's some picks I think are very exciting, and some are going to go through the process, and we'll see how they play out.
As a Democrat, I know that there's a few picks that probably a lot concerning, to Democrats. Is there any that you like better than others?
Well, that's really not the question for me. Actually, the president puts his picks up, and generally, you can make the statement that a president should have a right to his picks. Fact of the matter is, we have a process in the Senate where we vet those individuals, and it's important to vet those individuals for the same reason that we vetted a Gaetz and he stepped out because, in my view, he was not acceptable. Well, there are others where questions have been raised. I'm not here to make a judgment about it, and I'm not in the process of making it happen or not happen, but I do think we ought to be very careful about how we use our processes. I think those are good processes, and I think that's very important. There is one in particular that raises my eyebrow, and that goes back to the Gaetz appointment. See, that's a very important seat. That's handled differently. I take the rationale of Trey Gowdy when he says, when you're dealing with justice, the DOJ, you're talking about something that's not just something that you use to beat up your opponent, and that means Democrat or Republican, whether it's happened or not. We don't do that. What we have to do here is we got to get do this thing dispassionately. We should not pit one against the other. We should deal just with the facts. With respect to that, we should not incentivize that in terms of taking on and beating up our enemies because they are our opponents or we perceive them as enemies. And there's a moral component to it. There's no question about it. In other words, doing what's right, notwithstanding how you may feel emotionally, but doing what's right.
So even though Gaetz is out of the conversation now, do you think that the other picks that are being made are following that?
Well, I don't know who's going to step in there. I heard a name or two, but I really don't know about them. But I'm just following. I'm like everybody else. I'm just following that and got some X's and some O's, and we'll see how that plays out.
As this conversation has gone on, the word recess appointments has been thrown out there in the political back and forth. How likely is something like that to occur in this process, you think?
I think we'll have to wait and see, as neither of us are elected to the U.S. Senate. I've learned not to speak for other people, so I don't know.
We are not in D.C. That is very true.
It depends. It goes back to the same question, whether our processes, but those recess mechanisms have been used before. I don't know. I just don't know. If I was a gambling man, I'd say perhaps you will see that. I hope not.
Is there any other particular positions that you're watching closely that we've not seen named just yet? And I know they're coming in kind of in drips and drabs, but there's still a couple of different big agencies that we're still watching to see. Anything that's on your particular radar at this moment?
Education.
We did get education. That's Linda McMahon.
That's a big one.
But she was on the school board.
Well, I know some people. Well, don't take me there. Let me just tell you, in my history of dealing, you could be on there, but at this level, this is something different. This is not the same thing as dealing on school board. Although that adds to your bona fides, but I would say that all these areas. I chuckle when I think about Dr. Oz. I say, oh my God. I mean, I don't know what that means, you know. Maybe he's a genius and he knows this stuff and he's really ready to do it. I don't know. He's never been in these processes, I know that. And if you look at a number of the people that the names I'm getting and the research that I'm doing and the feedback I'm getting, a lot of them do not have the floor and levels of experience and interaction that brings him up to a level of excellence for that type of challenge. But that's me listening to someone else. We'll see.
We'll see what happens whenever the Senate vets him.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you both for your insight. We'll be right back.